Good afternoon, good morning, depending on where you're joining us from today. Welcome and thank you so much for taking the time today to join us for this 45 minutes to an hour webinar where we'll be diving into how can you really leverage digital tools to create a unique online brand experience. And then this webinar, as per usual, is dedicated to Canadian exporters, and we're looking forward to getting to know a little bit more about your challenges. We'll have a few polls throughout, so I just wanted to do a couple of little announcement and housekeeping tasks as we wait for a few more, as I can see, a few more logging on today. I just wanted to say the webinar is being recorded, so everyone will be receiving a recording of the discussion and the conversation today and the slides via email over the next 48 hours. There is a weekend in between, so it might be Monday morning. But also we want to save a little bit of the time at the end for a Q&A. It's a little bit harder to do throughout, but please do keep your questions coming. We have a team behind the scenes who is going to collate everything and then be able to answer. If it's something that is very specific to your case and we might not get to it, we'll make sure to pass it on to the panelists that is best placed to answer, and we'll get back to you individually, but we'll try and answer as many as possible either throughout the session or in the Q&A at the end. Before we dive into the agenda for today, I just wanted to take a moment to do a very quick round of introduction. I am really excited to be here with Marisol and Matthew today to be talking about digital tools and, as I mentioned, how these can help you build and manage a unique brand experience across all of your global target markets, and how these powerful tools can really transform your brand strategy and help you grow your export sales. Quick introduction to our speakers. Obviously, they'll do that themselves a little bit later, but we are joined today by, I'll start from the far end for once. We have Matthew Waldron, Trade Commissioner for the Canadian Consulate General, actually based in Miami, and he'll tell us all about it a little bit later. Matthew, you bring a wealth of knowledge about online tools and the latest AI trend. We were just chatting about that in the, so to speak, the green room before we joined you. But I'm really excited also to be joined by Marisol Bedoya, AI Communicator and Marketing Manager of AskPolly.ai, a groundbreaking AI platform that, Marisol is going to tell us all about it later, but predicts human behavior, market trends, really, really, really cool stuff. So I'm looking forward to handing over the mic in a moment. Through today's session, we'll dive into, again, a very packed agenda. 2 seconds about myself. I'm Joelle Lazzarotto. I'm the Marketing Director here with IBT Online, and I'll tell you a little bit more about who we are and what we do. But just as I can see, I'm getting some signals that we've got a few more people joining, but just wanted to take a quick look at the agenda. We have a packed agenda for a 45-minute session, but we'll try and cover it as best as we can. I wanted to get us started just looking at what we call the future of sales, really just stepping back for a moment and looking at how online e-commerce, AI are really shaping our landscape, which will help us frame the conversation for this afternoon. We'll then take a look at how, again, the Canadian Consulate General can support you through funding and marketing insights, and Matthew will share all of the information. And then we'll hand over to Marisol, who will discuss AI-driven sales strategy using AskPolly.ai. And then we'll have a bit more of a discussion on creating a unique online brand experience, what that means, what are the big things that you need to consider. And then, as I promised, we'll wrap up with some practical do's and don'ts, some easy wins, some international growth, initial low-hanging fruit. And then, of course, we'll have some takeaways, and we'll go through all of the questions that you guys are going to drop into the Q&A box throughout the session. As I mentioned, it's a packed agenda, so I'll dive right in very briefly, talking about the future of sales. We'll look at online, e-commerce, and AI are the three keywords, so to speak, for today's session. 2 seconds. I know many of you, I can see some of the names here, might have been to one of our webinars before, but for those who haven't, I just wanted to share a very quick introduction for IBT Online. IBT Online is a full stack online marketing agency. We've been helping businesses expand globally since 2002, which is a long time in the digital marketing world. We've seen a fair few changes, and AI is, been a big component of what we do for a number of years, but it really has exploded. So you hear a lot of that in the presentation today. We specialize in international business development, guiding company as they expand beyond the domestic markets. For example, we help a number of Canadian companies engage with their potential clients and customers in something as close as the US or as far as Japan, Germany, Mexico, and beyond. But also we have been helping Canadian exporters in the Canadian market itself, ensuring that they have the tools to thrive both domestically and internationally with a really, really strong focus on digital. We are headquartered in Halifax, though we operate out of Montreal, but we are also very active in the US market, and we're proud to be a US company as well. And we have recently strengthened our cross-border efforts. In December 2023, last year, we signed a strategic partnership with the US Commercial Service. Through this partnership, we became the strategic partner for ecommerce initiatives, further enhancing the abilities we have to support businesses in growing their digital presence in the global marketplace. Although this is, with the US Commercial Service, a lot of these has supported us in what we can offer to Canadian exporters as well. We manage what we call our online global programs. So if you'd like to learn more, feel free to reach out. We're here to help, again, as I mentioned, businesses succeed in this ever-evolving world of digital, selling cross countries and cross continents. And really our mantra, we're here to help you grow your export sales, brand, and business. But diving into today's agenda, I just wanted to give you a bit of background about who you have on the call today. One of the main things that I wanted to, again, talk about is some of the big trends that we're currently seeing in this online digital space, particularly from a sales perspective. And the first major trend, as I mentioned, you hear a lot of this, is AI, which I'm sure you all know, you've heard a lot of that, is absolutely everywhere right now. AI is proving to be transformative in the digital space, especially when it comes to online marketing and digital tools. So even if you are, for example, in advanced manufacturing, in B2B, or any other industry that might not feel directly impacted yet, I do believe, and I strongly feel, that AI in the context of digital marketing and digital sales and international sales is at the forefront, and simply you shouldn't ignore it. Is here to stay, is not going anywhere. So learning to use it and learn what that means for you is going to be key. Another really big trend that we'll go through in a little bit more detail is e-commerce. And again, this is something that is often overlooked when we talk about B2B or manufacturing, but I'm going to share with you some data that hopefully can give you some insights that shouldn't be an oversight. And then other key areas to include when we talk about big trends is data privacy, compliance, personalization, and social commerce. We won't have the time, unfortunately, to go into those in great details today, but I just really wanted to put them on your radar as you listen to today's presentation and start thinking about what the tools that we'll be mentioning today can mean to you and how digital is a space for everyone and everyone should be leveraging that. So just to start taking a global perspective on these next slides, I just wanted to really showcase, to me, it's very important to understand who is online today, how much time we spend on the web, and how this impacts your business opportunities, really. So right now, about 8 billion people on the planet, 5.6, so over 5.5 billion mobile phones, and about 5.3 billion people actively using the internet on a daily basis. So these mobile devices are critical here because they provide constant access to the web. I'm here today, I've got my mobile phone next to me. If I need something, I'll go and use it. I'll go and research it. So this really just means that your potential customers are basically walking around with access to your business in their pockets. If they need something, they'll go and find it, and it's important for you to be there. On the next slides, I just wanted to show, and I appreciate there is a lot on these slides, are quite small, but when you get the recording, you might be able to have a closer look. Equally significant for me is the fact that nearly all internet users that we've seen are also on social media. So to me, what's outstanding again is the time we've seen on the previous slide, 6 hours and 40 minutes per day online. That means that you've got billions of people that are spending nearly 7 hours on a day online. And we do that whilst we work, but we'll do whilst we commute. Working from home is, hybrid. We're commuting again. And if we're working from home, we have a little bit more time in the evening to spend time socializing. We are online. We are on social media. But this is actually good news if you are a small or mid-sized company, because if you're looking to grow your sales internationally, you know where your prospects are, and you've got some digital marketing tools that you can leverage. So this is a strong enabler for companies, especially those in Canada that are looking to expand internationally. And we'll go through today, very focused on how can you reach them, but also what are the key important aspects to make sure that your brand is strong and can be found and can be seen and can be remembered when people navigate through all these channels. Very quickly on the next slide, I just wanted to show how the same really does hold true for e-commerce. Globally, countries like those in Southeast Asia are leading in online shopping. With the US, we think, in the US, for example, there is very extensive use of marketplaces, online e-commerce, online tools, but really they represent 12% of the global online shoppers. So whilst we may feel that we're always online, I think this proves to me that the rest of the world is spending even more time there. And again, that's a huge opportunity for B2C, but also for B2B companies. Just wanted to share some data here for everyone, just to take a quick look, where I think there is sometimes a misconception that e-commerce is only for consumer goods. So on this next slide, it simply, to me shows it's not really true. E-commerce is becoming essential for all industries, including manufacturing and others. So really COVID brought this back to, it became a bit of a reality check, where now about 90% of B2B companies have adopted some form of virtual sales model. So I just wanted to put this into context before I hand over to Matthew and Marisol, because to me, this is really important. Don't discount, online tools. Is not because you're not a direct to consumer brand or you're not selling directly on TikTok that you shouldn't be mindful about how your brand is one of your strongest assets, and how you should be mindful about how that is portrayed online, but also how people are talking about you, and what are the tools that are out there to help you understand what's the online behavior and how you can maximize that through your export sales. I did say I was going to go through this quickly. I just want to do one last thing before I hand over to Matthew, and I'll just love to launch a quick poll here. As I mentioned, we have quite a varied audience today from what we could see. So I just really want to launch a quick poll to understand a little bit more about who we've got with us today. And the first poll looks at whether you're already doing business internationally. We'll leave it open for a little while. And don't be shy is anonymous at the moment. No one will be able to see your response, but it really just helps us, again, frame the conversation and just make sure that we have a good idea of who's with us today and what the expertise is, what the experiences are, and then we'll be able to take all of these on board during the Q&A a little bit later today. So I'll leave this for another few seconds, but before we dive into, again, brand and talking about Ask Polly with Marisol, just wanted to hand the mic back over to you, Matthew, if that's okay, to talk about everything, as we call the helping hand that the Canadian Consul General can provide to our exporters.
We're already a slice into this, and I think you probably already know who the Trade Commissioner Service is, but if you don't, we're the friendly business development arm of the Canadian government that you can access through all 164 locations around the globe, and that's where we come in there on that network. That 164 office network is around the globe, divided up by geography and need, but also by sector. So you can find either who's the best person to talk about my A industry with in the area, or just who do I talk to about this geography, et cetera, at the same thing, or any combination of the two. The funding that we have out of there, the only thing that we really have is the CAN export program. If you have more questions about this as you go on, I'll ask you to write me or write the regional office that probably sent you the email, the invite to pick up this webinar. Go ahead and give me a call on that. There's several ways to do it, mostly for small and medium-sized enterprises, but we're also doing things with association funding, innovation funding, etc. Finally, there's business support, Canadian technology accelerators that we're running now on focus groups in key cities, which are extra kind of high speed, low drag, direct support for people that are already established, already in market, but are trying to boom into a market in a particular focus area. We can go into a little bit more about that later. But our international business development is inclusive. If you're coming at it from any particular different angle and need a little bit of help, the Canadian government has always been great about making a subgroup or a sub-help section there that I hope we can deliver to you. And of course, the trade missions that we put together, like ones I've got coming in prop tech, fintech, and marine electrification, just to give you the broad side of that. But we're going to kick on through this. I think the rest is just a little more on what I just said. So let's see if we can kick through these fast, Cecile. So, over 125 years being there, we do a lot of work. We've been around for a long time. In fact, we're one of the first trade offices a government ever put into existence. Next slide. What we do there is basically a lot of things. If you need a helping hand, whether you're deciding if, hey, I need to export or now you're ready to export, the TCS is there either in Canada for you or in market to help you gain insight, find new opportunities that are going on out there. I'm constantly tripping over things and I'm like, I know the perfect company I worked with for this and going back and getting them. I say I'm not good. I'm just always out there. So, have your friend who's always out there have your company in mind. And that's kind of how some of these things will work out for you. The connect with key contacts. Of course, we do that bespoke. It's not just me wandering around hoping to run into somebody. We do direct work. We do a lot of working between both our consular side and our other missions, even the military and RCMP work, depending on what you're into. Really, what we see as a result is getting you into a new market, reducing your risk, or hey, I've even said to people, you don't need to come here, you need to stop. And saving them that $1.5 to $2 million effort was a lot more appreciated than waving them on with a big smile and a hopeful grin. So we give it to you straight on that side. Let's jump on the next. Keep going. We talked about that. Again, we'll give you more info on the CAN export if you need it, or you can go through your regional office. Next slide. That funding is still the next slide. We'll go into that a little bit later. As you can see there, it works for a lot of things in market. This business support is what we're talking about here. We mentioned the Canadian technology accelerators. That's an example, a little old actually, numbers-wise, of how many people we helped and how much it raised in capital, how much revenue it generated from this particular focused, hard-hitting group inside of what we're doing. Combine that with the CAN export program, combine that with things like MyTax and other regional and local development tools, and you've got a lot of money and support to get you running into more developed markets for your target, for your product or service, and just really look for those ways to grow your business and next level your business with assistance the whole way, without feeling like, God, I'm out on the edge all alone. That's really what we help with. Next slide. This is all of us. So if you've ever wondered where it came from, it's the Canadian government, it's the EDC, it's our local partners in province, it's the BDC, CCC, every acronym the government can throw at you. But really, that's where this whole trade ecosystem comes through and is a wonderfully united and compared thing. Even hooks back to some of the super clusters that I think we were talking about around AI, some of the digital work around e-commerce and developing a lot of the things that are going on with Canadian companies like Asp on the back there. They're really ahead of the work. And so we found a way to work with the industry, work with companies, and work with local folks to help tie in that new need, show them the better side and get things forward. Hopefully, we can do that for you in your industry as well. I think that should be the last one. Don't make me a liar. Damn it.
Yeah.
There is the contact information for me and everybody else. If you don't have that regional office, drop a line to those emails right there. If not, you can find us all over the emails and socials. I think this is where I'm supposed to say like and subscribe, but it doesn't work here. Go to the next slide, and I think that's us done.
Matthew, thank
There
you
we go.
so much indeed. That was a whirlwind of information. There is a lot in there. And as you said, I know there is different um, services depending on what our audiences are in the industry. So I just wanted to give them the opportunity, if there is anything you would like to receive more information directly or be in touch with Matthew and the team directly after this webinar, please do let us know in the poll here, so then we'll have a direct link. But there will be again at the end of the webinar a slide with all of the contact information. As I mentioned, you'll receive them by email as part of the recording. So thank you so much, Matthew. That was fantastic. So much help, and it's very much a great helping hand for all Canadian exporters.
No problem.
Perfect. Then it's my great pleasure, Marisol, to hand over straight to you to let you talk about, who is Ask Polly, who is Polly, and all of the great work that you guys do.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Hi, everyone. My name is Marisol Bedoya. I am the marketing manager here at ASI, which is the home of Ask Polly. Ask Polly is the result of many years of research and development in bridging the gap between social media, so all of the billions of people that you see online, as Joelle highlighted earlier in the presentation, bridging the gap between them and market research, which now enables what we call predictive behavior modeling. So if you want to go to the next slide, that'd be great. I'm going to do a quick intro to our product and then kind of go over how we've branded it as a Canadian company that's gone international over the last few years. So Ask Polly is a self-serve, full-stack market research platform that allows teams, marketing teams and market research teams, to go from brainstorming marketing campaigns to measuring ROI of those campaigns, all in one place. When it comes to audience, Ask Polly pulls insights from a statistically validated sample from social media, which is always on and is constantly being updated. She also allows you to create custom audiences based on any behavior, lifestyle, attitude, basically any attribute that you associate with an audience, you're able to create a custom one from Ask Polly. When it comes to data collection, as an AI, Polly is constantly learning about things online, and she's able to collect data about any topic or marketing scenario. And her information goes all the way back to 2012, so you can look at any custom time frame after that. Our analytics are quite advanced, and once her data is collected, you get immediate results. Polly gives you a full demographic breakdown of who's engaging on your topic or on the question or on your market research question. You can also see who the key influencers are in these conversations, which channels are most effective in reaching your audience, and a lot more. But these are some of the most popular ones amongst our customer base. And finally, her actionable insights come from her statistical validity. You can go from analytics to action really quick with her ability to forecast messaging performance, also behaviors and preferences of your audience. You can also forecast and measure the impact of a campaign, create a customer journey map, or identify the next trend with new voices. So our academic side, if you want to go to the next slide. As a new player, disrupting a really established traditional industry, trust is a really big part of our brand. And the way that we've done this in the insights industry in Canada and in the US and in Europe is through industry events and conferences, speaking engagements, and through the media, both paid and earned. Polly's technology was developed at the University of Ottawa and has been peer-reviewed by scientific bodies like the IEEE and the National Academy of Sciences. She also has been awarded patents for the samples that she creates on social media. The ability for her to actually explain the patterns that she finds in the data, and her ability to keep up with slang and lexicon online. So all the new words that are being made up every day, she's able to keep up with that. And so as you can see, our academic background is really important to us, and it's a differentiating element to our brand. And we've been able to maintain this through the events that we choose to go to and to speak at, but also in the projects that we take on. We make sure that we're able to publicize these sorts of projects in a way that aligns sort of with academia. And our approach to event participation goes a lot further than just the days that we're spending at these conferences. It goes months prior and weeks after. We think that finding opportunities to get on stage, whether it be through sponsorship or through an application process, it takes a long time to plan. And getting content together for these sorts of presentations and bringing in stats that are trusted is a really great way to establish your name in an industry or in a market. And the more eyes that you get on yourself on any stage is more people that are interested in hearing more about you after the event, in the weeks after, reminding them through a marketing campaign, how awesome your offerings are. If you want to go to the next slide. For larger events, reaching out to media that will be covering the event is a really great way to pique interest. One of the advantages of Ask Polly is that we're able to create interesting, quality, and helpful content fast. And we do this to ensure that websites are always stacked with blogs and other content types that establish brands as knowledgeable and trustworthy. So the demo that we just showed there is a really good example of something that we've sent out in the past. So content bites like free market research or interesting stats about an event's themes and industry overall, it has been a really successful strategy for us and for a lot of our customers as well that use Ask Polly. Not only are they using it for their projects and their customer projects, but also, for their own brand as well, which is great. So if you want to just click that demo one more time, I'll kind of take you through it. So this demo shows our ability to look at age, gender, region, and income analysis of a question. This is showing that tech owners are a lot more worried about cybersecurity and growth, whereas consulting firm owners are a lot more concerned about, tech advancements and the quality of the product that they're putting out. Just to go over a really good example of our way of using Ask Polly in our, sales and lead generation. In 2023, we actually attended CES using the Ontario export missions, actually. And with that, they were able to help us promote our participation in the event, but we took it much further than that. We actually applied to speak at the event successfully, and we promoted our participation in media days, which leads up to the event, allows you to announce anything new that's coming up. And we actually aligned our soft launch of Ask Polly with CES that year so that we could really make the most of all the promotional opportunities that were there. And so by reaching out to a lot of media, we were able to get in contact with Fortune, with Forbes, who were able to cover us weeks after as well. So using Ask Polly in this way and sending out interesting stats and interesting tidbits and insights about your event is a really great way to maximize event marketing capabilities. Just a couple slides left. If you want to go to the next one. Our product has come a long way since our CES soft launch, and now we're able to offer agencies and brands a really fast and statistically valid way to measure things like the impact of a marketing activity on your marketing objectives, test your messaging and optimize it to resonate with your target audience, forecast custom audiences, behaviors, preferences, and even get an inside look at your competition's performance. If you want to go to the next slide, you can skip this one. Just a little overview of how our strategies have performed. We've worked with a lot of great companies as well as a lot of government organizations, and we've been thoroughly vetted by privacy commissioners, which is something that I know a lot of the idea of AI and market research can sometimes set off some alarm bells, but we've been a trusted partner with the Canadian government for a number of years now. Next slide. These projects have also been covered internationally by a number of different media outlets. And finally, next slide. That kind of rounds off my portion of the presentation. But if you are headed to an event, or if you want to try some of the tactics, sales tactics that I went over today, we would be happy to offer you or anyone that registered to the webinar some market research at a really great discounted rate. So you can reach out to me in these links, or I believe in the follow-up, my email will be provided.
Marisol, thank you so much. We promise that we'll be touching on some of the big trends that we said, and definitely everything that you've discussed I find it super exciting, is absolutely there with the AI. You mentioned compliance as well. And I know I can see some of the questions coming in already. So I just want to give a second to everyone who would like to learn more about Ask Polly. Marisol, as you said, we've got your contact details in the slides. Everything will be shared in the follow-up. But if anyone would like to, so to speak, put their hand up today and ask for more information, we'll make sure to send it across when Marisol receives the information. So thank you so much. And again, I can see the questions coming in, and I know that the team in the background is collating them all. So then at the end, we'll be able to ask a few. And if there are any more that we don't manage to cover, we'll be able to get back to them individually.
Awesome. Thanks. Thanks, Joelle.
Perfect. Excellent. I just wanted to take the next, maybe we've got about 15 minutes or so before the Q&A, just to walk us through a little bit more about what are the elements that we look at when we talk about, thinking of creating the best or the most unique, or at least a very strong online brand experience. Brand is sometimes something that is overlooked, or is a brand, or is a concept that is a little bit scary when you're starting off in marketing, and is something that is sometimes seen as, from a small to mid-cap manufacturer or an exporter, that's not really where I want to invest my money to start with. We're not quite there yet. But really, I look at this as, your brand is your most valuable asset. And this is even more important when you start looking at export markets and really try to establish yourself across a number of channels. So your brand really is, looks at how you're perceived, looks at, really can be your best, as we call it, your best defense against, price erosion, so to speak. Creating a cohesive online brand experience that really does resonate with your target market, I think, is essential. Whether this is through social listening, AI, personalized content, or building a consistent and memorable brand because you have a really strong spokesperson that does all of your video on social media, anything that can help you stand out in today's crowded digital landscape is a win. On the next slide, I just highlighted a little bit of, some of the key elements that we look at with some of our corporate clients when we look at building a strong brand. I really do think that it does require a solid strategy, and it does take time. Really, we look at this starting with defining your unique selling proposition, and then ensuring that your brand visual identity is consistent across everything you do. And even if, my recommendation is always, if you've seen any of the webinars and the master classes that we do, don't spread yourself too thin. But if you invest in 3 social media platforms or 2 social media platforms on your website, really focus on consistency. And when you go international, localization is key. And here I'm not just talking about translation, but really tailoring your brand to different markets will make it more relatable and really trustworthy. And when you have a split second to make a decision about a brand, when you see something on social media, that really does come down to trustworthiness and consistency. In a way, think about your content marketing strategy, social media engagement, brand monitoring, all of that. Really remember that your brand should evolve. It will not stay the same. You will evolve. You will need, platforms like AskPolly or, tools out there to stay ahead of the trend, understand what people are talking about, understand what matters to your buyer persona, and then refine your strategy, and then work to stay relevant. I've mentioned localization, and this to me really does go across your website, your online marketing. Again, your brand is how you are perceived. So when we talk about exporting and we talk about international marketing and international digital tools, a localized website is relevant to your local buyer. So think imagery, think keyword, think what products are actually most helpful in their markets from what you do. What portion of your value proposition should you present on your homepage? Should you present in your downloads, for example? And again, here, ensure there resonates with what we call your local buyer persona. This means, again, adapting the language, the design. Currency could be an easy one to think about, and is often something that is forgotten, believe it or not, when we talk about e-commerce. So little things like that really do make your brand stand out for the right reasons, and again, builds that trustworthiness. If you have to do business with a company that feels alien, it feels far away, is a lot harder than if you are perceived as being that local partner and that local e-commerce brand is there to support them. So we talk about buyer persona a lot. We talk about, how to respect your buyer persona. This could go across your website here. I've just wanted to use this slide because I think it really does highlight 10 somewhat easy criteria that we use to determine what makes a good localized website, what makes it a good localized presence. And again, I say language, the translation to me is one element of the localization puzzle, so to speak. There are so many other things, something like make sure that your website is mobile enabled, that is the design adapts well to your to where you're going. Think here, if you were to go into an Arabic speaking country or Chinese speaking country, the language can look very different on a design that works well in the US. So all of those are little things that you need to think about that can make a big impact when you're entering a different international market. And again, cultural aspects taken into consideration. Imagery is very important. Make sure that it feels right for them, that it would feel at home, so to speak, when they open your website. But also make sure that is, from a technical perspective, is optimized for the right search engines. If you go into Europe, then Google will be your best friend. If you go into South Korea, then you might want to look at what native values in a website. If you go over to China, then we'll be looking at a platform like Baidu, where it's a lot harder to crawl that first page on an organic traffic. So all of that is very important to be mindful of, what your target market's requirements are, both from a cultural, linguistical, but also technical point of view. So we say go global, but think about going local. So really think about the target market, and that's where we say take it one step at a time and really focus on where you're looking to go next. And this, I mentioned here the website, but on the slides to follow, you'll see this really does funnel through to everything that you do. So building a strong and unique online brand presence required localized approach to everything. And here I've taken social media because it's something that we seem all to be familiar, even if we're not maybe using it just yet for our international marketing efforts. I'm sure all of us have at least one social media profile. It might depend on what you want to engage, but I'm sure I'll find, we could find a lot of you guys here today on platforms like LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, perhaps TikToks. My team know that I am not the biggest fan of some of these platforms, but I definitely have profiles and I enjoy spending time on those. But, I'm definitely one of those people that spends a lot of time on my phone and online for different reasons during the day. But I just wanted to show you here some of the examples from brands that I think have done it really well. And here we have some example of Amzo Inc., a Wisconsin-based company, a synthetic oil manufacturer who have a very strong and very diverse global presence. So they have websites that cover markets like Africa, Latin America, India, South Korea, Europe, Asia Pacific. At IBT Online, we've had the pleasure and the honor to work with Amzo managing their international presence for a number of years. And really what we've seen is how diverse you have to be and how important something like imagery, keywords, and really having the right customer testimonial on your website really does make a difference, but also how different platforms work in different markets. So here, for example, we've looked at, the goal for us here was to build brand awareness, but also to build demand for your products, and specific products work differently in specific markets, but also encouraging local businesses to partner up with them to support the distributors with localized content. This is what your international brand can do for you. It's not just about e-commerce and direct to consumer purchasing. If you have distributors in market, you need to make sure that your website is supportive of what they're trying to do, is supportive of giving them some exposure, and all of that can be achieved through a cohesive brand strategy that really does go beyond just the website at times. We've got a few examples in the next slides. Just wanted to show you again how having a cohesive brand can help you as you expand globally, supporting your distributor with localized content and the right imagery on the website, the right kind of information on your website really is key to drive demand for your products. So it's really important to provide your local buyers with the right tools and materials, but also your local distributors with the right tools for them to really leverage and further push your brand within the network, within the community. And all of these is very, very a key part of building that online brand and that cohesive online experience for your customers. Another example that we wanted to show here is, again, a real world case study with Oscarware. They manufacture grill toppers. So this is slightly different. They sell directly online, Kentucky based. They really they've invented this product, but they soon found themselves in quite of a tough spot because they were facing competition from, cheaper, lower quality alternatives. And, competing on price was very tough. So instead of trying to do that, Oscarware decided to focus on building a really, really powerful brand. And they did this first domestically, and now they sell globally in a number of countries as well. So they really invested heavily in their online presence, developing a strong website, engaging in focused marketing efforts, really emphasizing the unique products, the unique brand, what stands behind the brand as well. They have a really, really strong story behind how the products came to life, and that is often reiterated in the content. You see recipes from their own kitchen, from their own outdoor kitchens, and all of this is what's allowing them to really stay relevant and to build a very strong, loyal customer base that have bought into more than just the products themselves. They bought into the story, they bought into the brand, and they come back time and time again, and their reviews and the referrals are through the roof. So this is just another example about why your brand is important and why you should be taking really good care of, building something that is your long-term success. And the last example that I wanted to share with you guys here is a great case study that we have from Bluemaker, which is a company known for their innovative approach to floral products. They are the leaders in giant waxed amaryllis. They are beautiful. And for someone like me who does not have a green thumb for what I want to see is a fantastic product. And they've really done a fantastic job really to have a multi-channel strategy, but they've really committed to measuring, testing, adapting, and then reviewing the marketing efforts. And this is one of the pieces that I wanted to highlight, because platforms like what Marisol presented, where you get all of that data, all of that intelligence, is key to make sure that you're reaching the right audiences with the right messaging, and getting that feedback from the real world is very, very important. You could do the same thing for 10 years and then figure out that it doesn't work. But with digital tools, you no longer need to guess and see what happens. You get feedback, you get data back from the real world so quickly with some of these AI-driven data tools that are out there, as Polly being a fantastic example. I think it really does give you that insight. And, you know, for example, Bluemaker utilize competitor analysis throughout their marketing programs with IBT Online. We look at that to understand where we stand in the industries, identify, you know, who else is out there, what are the hashtags, what are people really reacting to, what, you know, something as simple as what color flower people prefer, down to how are people talking about us versus our competitors. And all of these is really, really key to understand how your brand is perceived, and to help you, as I mentioned, evolve it in a direction that's going to help you grow your business, both domestically, but then obviously internationally as well. So I want to take 2 more minutes to talk about some of the tools that we see being key to be able to do that, and is a concept that we've discussed before with Matthew in a previous webinar, where we dove a little bit more in the specifics of social listening. And here again, I just wanted to give you a very broad stroke of what this means. But as I mentioned, is some tactics that are used to, tools that we use to create content, to look at calendars, to help maintain a cohesive online presence across a number of social media platforms. The key is to repurpose, but also to make sure that you are organized, engage with your audience, but then again, really look at, competitor analysis, monitor everything that happens out there. If you put content out, you should expect a reaction, you should engage with that reaction, and you should then be able to analyze, do a deep dive in the industry topics, industry analysis, what are the keywords that are relevant to your users? How do they search for your product? How do they search for your industry? And again, I appreciate some of the examples here are very consumer driven. They were a very nice picture to show you guys today, but I really want to emphasize that this does work, and this is key for every industry, whether you are in the B2B, in the manufacturing. These kind of data exists and is really there to be leveraged. Look at the reports, look at the analytics, and that's how you're going to really make sure that you can make some data-driven, smart decisions. And we've got a couple of examples here in the next slide. For example, a question here was from one of our customers: should we include a video on our homepage? Does our industry really relate to that? Do our customer care? And it's like, okay, we've done some testing on social media. We've looked at some data points. Our competitors, they were all using videos on their websites. They were all using videos on the social media. Looking at that, our target market seems to be really receptive. So we've tried a little test on Meta, so through the Facebook and Instagram campaigns, and our engagement on a daily basis went from around 200 views to 500 in the first day. So if you see that big spike the moment we started sharing videos, and that really gave us also testing about what kind of videos. We've used social media to get quick feedback and use the data to choose what kind of interaction, what kind of videos we wanted to showcase on the homepage of the website. So again, A, B, C, D testing. We're using real life, real world data from your own target audience to make data-driven decision on what you can use to really showcase your brand further on your website and across all of your social media presence. We talk about continued listening and learning from what you're doing. This is, again, I just wanted to show you an example of a very powerful tool I find for measuring how your brand is perceived, in this case across social media, but it could very much be through any channels that you're using. A typical question we get asked is, what is our brand engagement across various platforms? Where do I see the best return? Should I go all out on TikTok, or is Pinterest best for me, or should I really stick to LinkedIn where I know my B2B targeted audience all engage? The answer is throwing everything out there at the same time and then hoping something's going to come back is probably at the end of the day going to waste a lot of your resources, especially if you throw some advertising money to it. But doing some sample campaigns, monitoring that continuously, running some tests, and then coming back and learning from the data really is the best way forward. And this is where these listening opportunities and these data-driven tools really come in to help, regardless of your industry. And again, I'm very strongly saying this because this is a question we always get. It's like, how about B2B? I'm a manufacturer. What do I care? The answer is you should, and you'll be surprised how much data there is out there for your industry as well. And one last example here again, which is one of my favorite actually, when we talk about a brand share of voice. This is a fantastic way to see what is, how do you stack against your competitors? And here I always say, the big question is, how is my brand position versus my top 7 competitors was the example we had here. So we looked here at thousands of data points across multiple social media platforms. And the one thing I want to say here is, as I say, do not try to do this at home. Do not try to do this manually because there is so much data out there. Please do use one of these tools. There is so many out there that you can choose from. It really does bring in everything and make it so easy for you guys to really look at all of these different data points. There is so much out there. But why this is key is because you can then learn from the best, follow the leader kind of suggestions, look what works for you, and you don't need a big budget to make an impact. It's about understanding what your audiences are after, what works in the market, who you're competing against, and then being able to monitor if what you're doing works, and then see your share of voice grow. And this is very important when you start in a new market. Do some research, have a look at what the landscape looks like, because what's happening in Latin America and Mexico might be very different to what's happening in Canada, although geographically they're not, it's far, but it's not a world apart. But, we feel that sometimes in neighboring countries here, but it can be really, really different what your competitors are doing versus what you're doing domestically. So leverage these tools to do your research and to really start with a good advantage. I know I've shared a lot. I'm trying to rush through some of these because I really want to get to some questions, but I think the team have another poll here. I know you're warmed up to them now, so you know how they work, you know the drill. So if you would like to receive some more information, we have some recommendations on how to get started. But also if you just would like to have an informal conversation with myself or someone in the team about website localization, digital marketing, social listening, where to start, how to go about it, do let us know. That's what we're here for. As I mentioned at the beginning, this is our area of specialization, international marketing, and I could talk about this for days, as you can tell. So please do get in touch, and I'd love to have a conversation about it. Very briefly, I think is always interesting and is always quite fun to look at. Again, as we said, we've mentioned all of those, some do's and don'ts for easy wins for international growth, whether you're launching in a new market or whether you've been in a market for a number of years and you're just trying to make that next step by really leveraging digital tools. There are a few things to look at, again, for your website, which I like to see it as your website should be your best performing sales rep. Is there 24/7, is ready to ask, answer question when no one else is online, is there for you, and it should work hard for you. But do make sure that it is mobile enabled. It loads well. So again, we talked about some technical aspects where it's hosted is very important, but also it is optimized for the market, is optimized for the search engine that you're trying to rank on. It has some good imagery, and then that is easy to navigate. For this, do some user testing because it might seem obvious to you. We've seen a lot, even internally here at IBT Online, where you think it's super easy, super clear because you know what you're looking for, but just make sure that that is just as clear to your target audience. And then we have some easy wins that are specific for international markets here, and I'll just go through them real quick. Value your URL. Your website is your digital real estate. If you have a number of distributors, do make sure that you still own and control your brand. because that's going to be key in the long-term development in those international markets. But also talk to the world. Do you have a LinkedIn company profile? Share some great images, videos. I talked about video quite a lot. You no longer need a big production crew to come and do a drone shot of your manufacturing facilities. Again, mobile phones, we all have one in our pockets, and I'm pretty sure most of them will have a good camera these days. So get it out, get your salespeople in front of it, get them to smile, and you will have some fantastic content that engages really quickly. And the good thing about video is that very often you only need maybe subtitles or some quick captions, and then you can use them across a number of languages really quickly. It's so much easier to localize a little video than it is to rewrite a whole blog post or press release. So videos are a fantastic tool to really grow internationally. Another things that I just wanted to say, highlight your wins. Make sure that you got great client testimonial, you got a great customer, you got reviews. Shout about it. Make sure that people can find them on your social media. Make sure that people can find them on your website, and that's going to give that little bit more of a validation and trust, especially if they're local to the new market you're entering. And one last element here, again, I mentioned your website should be your strongest sales rep, but do make sure that you use your digital tools to empower your sales and marketing team. Are you going to a trade show? Put a banner on the website, highlight their presence on social media. Are you launching a new product? Showcase onto your homepage, put a video out there on social media. Really use your digital tools. Don't put something there and then forget about the website. They have to be dynamic. They have to live with the business. So really bring your digital assets into your sales and marketing meeting. Ask the sales team what they want to show. Ask your marketing team what they're seeing in terms of data, and then really work together, as we call it, as marketing, sales and marketing as marketing team, to really make it work and leverage your website and your digital tools to empower them, let them go out there and let them be successful with those. As I said, I could speak about this for days, and I've run out of time. So we'll go through takeaway next steps in 30 seconds flat, because I just want to make sure that we get to this slide where we can reiterate the contact details. So again, one thing to take away from today: the world is online, everyone is interacting with it. So if you're not already, really do think about how digital tools, how this platform can help you get in front of your buyers, can help you get in front of your distributors, how you can use this to give your sales team that extra power, that extra tool to really go out there and promote your brand. But if we skip through the next 2 or 3 slides, just I want to make sure that we give, again, the opportunities here to for Matthew, if you wanted to add anything. We've got here all information for people to connect with you guys.
That's pretty much it, straight up, or my own, I think, email address that comes up at the end if you want to talk to me directly. And of course, those of you who click, yeah, I want to know more earlier, well, I guess you'll get to hear from me. So.
Fantastic. And likewise, Marisol, we've got your just some contact details there for Ask Polly, but we'll have your contact details again in the follow-up email that goes out. So if there is anything else that you'd like to add, otherwise I've got a couple of questions for you guys, and then I promise I'll let everyone get back to, hopefully I haven't eaten too much in your lunch break today.
Nothing more to add. Thank you so much for having me today. It was great to be a part of it.
Fantastic. Before I let you guys drop off, I just wanted to mention we've run out of time. We have a couple of questions that came in from the audience, but we'll pass them on directly to Marisol and Matthew. A lot of them, Matthew, were about where can I get info, how does the application work. So I believe all of that will be provided for those that got in touch.
I believe so.
And
sorry.
No, that's all good, Matthew. We'll pass them on. I think a lot of questions were quite specific to individual cases in terms of what the Can Export program will do. And Marisol, if we've got 2 minutes, I've got one question that has come in. You've talked about events and leveraging the press. A few people have asked, how do I go about it? How do I get started? What should I be thinking about, when leveraging a tool like Ask Polly? And is my business the right business for it?
So, like Joelle said earlier on, you'd be shocked by how much data is out there about your target audiences. I know a lot of you are B2B, and finding market research on your audiences is known to be quite a challenge in our industry. So that's why leveraging Ask Polly is really a great resource for that. Like I said, you can make custom audiences and find out what they're talking about, and put together blog content and video content using helpful statistics from Ask Polly that are trustworthy. That's one of the best ways that we've seen our customers leveraging Ask Polly. It's also great for SEO and SEM if you're looking to optimize your websites. I know with Google, they've made a really big change recently in not favoring AI content because it's been quite noisy out in the online world. So creating content that is helpful, that isn't repetitive, using Ask Polly is a great way to get around a lot of the roadblocks that Google has put up recently. When it comes to events and when it comes to the press, the large events that we go to, the press is not shy about being there. They will often have a list of contacts that can be provided by the event itself. So it's always a great idea to ask what sort of media will be there, and they want to find stories. And so if you're able to provide one, whether it be interesting stats, like I said, from Ask Polly, or some knowledge about the events themes or your industry overall, that's a great way to leverage knowledge to build trust in your brand.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much, Marisol.
Awesome.
Perfect. Matthew and Marisol, thank you so much for joining me today. Really appreciate your input and your time today. And to everyone that has joined us as well, thank you so much. I hope you found the information interesting, insightful, and maybe a little bit scary as well. There is so much out there to explore, but don't be shy. Get in touch. As Marisol said, you'll be surprised how much data there is out there for your industry. So regardless of where you stand, where you think digital maybe wasn't for you, I hope we managed to change your mind a little bit today, and we look forward to discussing them more and and pointing you in the right direction. But for today, thank you so much. Have a fantastic afternoon, rest of your morning, depending on where you're based. Canada is a wide country, and we look forward to seeing you at the next event in, I believe, a few weeks' time. Thank you so much.
All right.